Let me see. Does everybody see the Tech Talk?
Yep.
Are you seeing the slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so we're going to look at a way to migrate your database when you can't do it the easy way. All right, so you've got slow connections or whatever, and using ER is not going to work, or using HDR, RSS, and flipping things around, or if you're moving to a different platform. So this is one way that I worked out to do it for a client many years ago. It's been upgraded since, and I used it again for a client recently. So let's get to it. So the challenge is, how do you migrate a very large database over the cloud? Right? Your WAN connection is relatively slow. Connection between servers may be relatively slow, and you need to be able to maintain a failback. Right? If you get to the new system and you turn it on and you discover that despite months of testing, something is too slow or something's not working properly, and you've got to fail back to the old system, the old database has to still be in sync with the current database because you made some changes to it. So you need to be able to fail back, all right, after turnover. We're assuming that a enterprise replication will work because maybe your applications don't support primary keys and your tables don't have them, and your tables are too large to, let's say, add REPL check keys to your table. Okay. HDR and RSS is not going to work because the WAN is too slow going between your original system in-house and the cloud. Any kind of import and export is not going to give you a timely way to roll back. And also, you're going to lose time, right? Either you have to take a long downtime while you're moving the data, or you're going to miss updates on the original system while you copy it to the new system. So same problem with database to database copies, right? You're going to miss things, things will be out of sync. So what do we do? You can try on tape, on bar, IFX clone, but again, it's got the same problems, right? Keeping things in sync and with slow communication. So how do we do this? I developed this system originally to migrate from 7.3 to 11.50. ER wouldn't work in that case. It wasn't a performance issue or communication issue, but rather the difference between ER and version 7 and then version 11 was just too huge, and they wouldn't talk to each other. So we had to do something. So I developed a set of scripts that creates an audit table for each table in the database, adds a set of on every row triggers for the parent table, one for inserts, one for updates, one for deletes. Okay. And basically copies the changes to the data, which I call deltas, into this audit table anytime a record in the original table gets modified. And then at some point, I wrote a set of scripts that take the data out of the audit table and apply them to the target database to resync it with the original database. So for the insert, we save the entire new row. For a delete, we save the entire deleted row. For an update, we save both the pre-image and the post-image of the row. Okay, so we can use the keys and some of the original values to match records, especially where tables don't have primary keys. So the audit table itself had all of the columns from the parent table, plus a serial type column and an operation column. So an I for inserts, D for delete, B for the before image, and A for the after image. And as well as, and that was the primary key. There was also a timestamp that was primarily intended to be used to restart a sync operation at a given time if we had to interrupt it. Okay. And keep in mind, an update operation was writing 2 rows for each row that got updated in the target table. Okay. So the triggers were installed on the source table. The deltas were then could be copied over to the other system, to the new system, and reapplied there using the apply scripts. And that would keep the system in sync. And then once that was done, and we had turnover time when we moved all the applications over to the target system, right, to the new system, we could drop the triggers and the audit tables on the original system and install them on the new system, and then begin to bring the delta back to the old system. And we can do that until we're real happy with what's going on the new system and everything is working properly. And we're convinced that everything is going to be fine. And then all we have to do is drop the triggers, drop the audit tables, and we're good to go, and good to drop the original server as well. So I did this recently. I dragged out all these old audit scripts and began to customize them for the specific needs of that client. The original scripts read the output from my schema, which is my version of BD schema, but it generates BDL that's a little bit more robust and more consistent than the BDL coming out of BD schema. And I couldn't install my schema at the client site. We've had some time constraints, and it wasn't practical to get my schema through their security checks and everything else. So I had to started to modify the scripts to work with BD schema. And those scripts were a mess because BD schema's output is very inconsistent. So I went back and realized that way back in 2013, when I did this the first time, I should have just read the database catalogs and generated the BDL for the audit tables directly from the catalog instead of trying to walk through with my schema output, or in this case, the BD schema output. So it was rewritten. The whole thing is now, SQL and a storage procedure to generate the list of columns and types. And so it's a lot more robust. It doesn't need as many moving parts. Okay, and simplify things quite a bit, and that's what we're going to look at today. So issues that came up over time whenever I've used the system. One is dealing with encrypted data in the columns. Right, the system doesn't deal well with encrypted columns. And there was a problem with comparing the source and target tables and data when the customer, the client, wanted to make sure that everything was in sync. You don't have the facilities that are built into ER, so you have to write some scripts to validate the data. Another issue was cleaning up junk data prior to replicating. So if there was junk data in the tables, that would cause problems with replicating. For example, if we had records that had text strings in them, but the strings included word processing characters or non-characters, non-printable characters that wouldn't unload properly. In the original system, the Delta data was unloaded to flat files, and then we reprocessed new flat files, and that caused some problems with international characters and also with garbage. So we had to do cleanup before starting the replication. Okay. You also have to periodically clean up the audit tables to keep them from getting too big. So once you're comfortable that the data is beginning to come over, you need to go back and clean up records in the audit table that you no longer need, that have already been applied, so they don't get too large. What else? Very early, I realized that before and after records for an update needed to have the same serial number and timestamp, and that made post-processing the records much easier than if they had their natural, different serial number and their natural timestamp. What else? Originally I was matching on the entire pre-image to do updates. and that had to be changed to actually only match the primary, the two talents that were identifying records uniquely, and that improved performance for the Delta processing part of it. Okay. And the other thing was originally the scripts were not properly aborting when there was an error processing the audit payment. So there was some cleanup happening that deleted some Delta data that we needed later. So eventually everything got cleaned up. Other problems I ran into were embedded delimiters in the data, embedded quote characters in the data, as I said, garbage and word processing characters in the data. Okay, so eventually we can clean up all the data. All right. If there are no questions at this point, I'm going to do a live demo, show you how it works. It's pretty straightforward and kind of cool. Let me stop sharing this. Okay. Any questions? All right, cool.
Hi, I have one question. I come in a bit later. So you migrate database from a certain environment to the cloud. Which environment was the source environment?
The scripts have been used on 3-4 different environments to date over the last, I don't know, 12 years, I guess. So the first time with me, he was on one of his systems.
Sorry,
so,
the voice is not so clear for me. I don't know if it is so for everyone.
I said, well, so the system on 4 different environments. So it really works everywhere.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions before I kick off the demo? All right.
Yeah, but the voice is still not good for me. I don't know if everybody.
I'm changing my microphone. Is this better? Hello?
No, can you say something more?
Was?
No, it's not clear.
Oh, I'm sorry. The sound card on my laptop is dying, so I'm using my headset, and that's obviously not great either.
बोना बट इस सबके रूम से स्पीकर चल स्पीकर पकड़ ले यार इसको स्पीकर से प्रॉब्लम करता
All right, hang on, guys. Let me try a different sound. Hold on. Is any better?
ये वही है जनाब Solaris 2 Solaris 2 and Yoke is your
Guys, is this any better?
I think it was a bit better. Who is administrating this video? Maybe Puram, somebody should mute his microphone. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Art.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's much clearer.
Is it better? Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. Let me go through the demo and then we can go back and do a quick review for anything you guys missed. Let me share again. Okay, are you seeing my terminal? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a database.
Sometimes if you turn off your video, it gives more bandwidth to your microphone. Maybe that'll help.
That's true. Can't hurt. Let me try that for a minute. Nothing good today. Okay, so I have this database, which just has it's basically the sales demo, the stores demo that comes with Informix. Okay, and we're going to instrument the tables. So the script that does that. We make setup that K shell. Upgrade setup that K shell. And you just give it a database, a table, and what DB space to put the audit table in. I also have a driver script, which is this one, make setup all. There it is. So we can just give it the server name, the database, and the DB space. We use data DPS1 and whoosh. So let's do this quickly. Okay, so we have the main tables like geography, product, customer, right? And then as we go down through it, you'll see there's now a product underscore ask BDM underscore upgrade. So that's the audit table. It has all the columns from the original table, plus the operation column and the timestamp column and the serial number column. Okay. And looking for the indexes. And here are the procedures that get created for the triggers. There's a stored procedure for each trigger, named table name underscore operation character, and then should proc, PRG, PRC. Okay, and it basically inserts into the upgrade table, into the audit table, inserting the operation, third timestamp, the serial number, and then the values from the original table. So we insert the values from the pre-image for the delete, I'm sorry, the pre-image for the delete table, the new record for the insert table, and then for the upgrade, okay, there's the UTG, but it's both a before image and an after image. And then you'll find here that the audit table has a primary key, or you have a unique index on the serial number and the operation. And then the triggers. Oh yeah, here it is. The trigger. Not owner of table. Ah, that was my fault. I was supposed to be Informix when I ran it. Okay, but it would have created this trigger you can see here for the updates and everything. Let me do that. Let's clean this up. I'm sorry. Almost 11. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now we should find the triggers. Ah, there they are. Okay, so now everything is set up. Okay. Just to demonstrate. Well, if I could put that here. Okay. So we insert into product. And it didn't work. I hate live demos. I don't know what product didn't get. Oh, anyway. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Minus 1.2. Ta-da! Okay, so there it is. I don't know why product didn't get instrumented, but there's how it works. Anybody have questions? Raise your hand if you want to, if you, hit the raise hand button if you want me to go through the presentation quickly again.
Is this webinar recorded?
Yes, it's being recorded.
Yeah, good.
Yep, and if you want, send me the, send me an email, I'll know my email address and I will send you the slides.
Yeah, good, good. I was thinking to show it for a customer actually.
Sure.
Okay, and I should have the recording up either later tonight or early in the morning on the IIG site.
Yeah.
All right.
Arch, there are some questions in the chat room, in the chat.
Oh,
if you
Oh, let me go over there. Thank you. What have we got? Yeah, as Paul said, we've used this on Solaris, AIX, Linux. I used it to attempt to migrate the entire world's largest airline reservation system from Europe, moved from Europe to Canada. But at the last minute, they decided not to do it. So that was, project was running along and then they just quit on me. So it does work. It's been used to move data across the world. Most recently, we moved the server from on-prem to the cloud using the latest version of this. When will Informix IDS be available on AWS? You can always port it yourself. You can always bring it over. Right? If you have a license and you have an AWS system, you can install any Informix product. That's the only answer I've got for that one. Beyond that, you can have to ask IBM. Any issues if there are already other tables? Yeah, there should be no problem with having existing triggers on the tables. You can have multiple triggers on the table, even on the same columns. So that's not an issue. the general, the general performance impact of having these triggers installed has historically been fairly low. Nobody's really noticed a performance issue to date. And some of the tables have been wide records where you would expect for there to be a problem. So I've never had a problem with that in the 4 or 5 times we've used it. Issues with in-place alters, I don't know what issues there would be. So if Dan, if you've got if you want to unmute yourself and give me some idea what the question is.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm Raja. So I asked that Informix RDS, what you said, because the DB2 they introduced recently, 3 months before, I guess. So I'm just asking whether we can get the Informix RDS or not. But right now, still we can do using EC2, like with your license and everything. Because once we log in into EC2, it's same like our Linux or Solaris machine. So that's normal. But I'm asking, have any plan for Informix RDS to introduce in the AWS?
Okay, I was misunderstood. I thought you were asking about the 4GL Rapid Development System, which is also called RDS. You mean integration with AWS database?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's going to be done or not. That's a question for IBM.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
Dan,
thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dan doesn't have a mic, so he can't elaborate. I'm not sure what the question would be with alters. It shouldn't be an issue. The audit table will have the structure of the latest version of the schema when it's created. If the underlying table still has alters, it'll still have alters. We haven't changed anything. We're not changing the original table itself. So. All right. Any other questions? Great. Thank you very much for listening in. I'm glad you didn't take up too much of your time. Hopefully there was something useful here. If anybody wants to contract with us to use the system on their system, or feel free to try to emulate what we did in your own systems yourselves, and have a great day.
Thanks, Art.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this, Art. Everybody have a nice week.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.